Welcome to the family with
Kevin Pittman.
And Andy Brant Bernard.
and Gelfand will be here at his own leisure, apparently.
Yeah, he makes his own hours.
Andy, how come we can't see you on the screen?
Because I have not joined yet.
We haven't joined. You haven't jumped on the StreamYard yet.
Got in the studio late because I had to sit there and wait for a train to pass for
wait
like
for
10
a train
minutes.
to go by. That will happen, no question about it. So yeah, Gelfand, what the hell? He's never late. What's that all about?
No, and
There's snow, apparently.
That's where we get 7 inches of snow last night.
yeah, 7 inches, and yep. So looks like Gelfand's Uber is taking a little bit longer than he expected, so he should be here by 10. He said.
Oh, by 10. Well, thanks a lot. You could be on the last 2/3 of the show then. There's Andy. Ooh, that's a good
There
angle,
I
too,
am.
right there. That works, no question about it. So what's in the news? What's the latest?
I mean, just the national news talking about the parade shooting in Kansas City, but other than that, I think that's kind of what everybody's been focused on.
Can they really decide, was it about the parade? Was it not about the parade at all? Because what, 22 people got shot, something like that?
Yeah, 22 people got shot, at least one dead. I believe I've seen people report, 2 or 3, but they haven't said anything as far as why. It doesn't sound like it was like somebody's manifesto being acted out. It was
Now, 1 dead and 20 shot smells like gang shooting to me.
Yeah.
It was like, and I saw they had a couple of like there was this somebody tackled a bald white guy that was shooting people. So it sounds like there was some sort of altercation, and then they started shooting rather than fighting.
I just don't understand that whole. Now all of a sudden I'm in the Old West and I'm a gunman. No, you're not in the Old West and you're not a gunman. Get your head out of your ass and behave.
And it looks like one of them was a radio disc jockey that was killed.
Uh-oh.
The one guy who got killed was a radio disc, or were how many people were?
There was. It looks like, according to Fox, is showing 2 people were killed. One of which was a beloved radio disc jockey and diehard Kansas City Chiefs fan.
Does it say his name?
Lisa Lopez.
Lisa Lopez was killed?
Lisa Lopez Galvins.
Oh, my God.
So, yeah.
That's not good. Why the hell would you shoot a woman? What the hell's going on? What was this?
I don't know. It's all very bizarre because there was a lot of kids that were shot. And so it's.
Yeah, like 7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. So you shoot kids, you shoot women, you're shooting. What the hell's going on in the world now?
Yeah, and it's like something's got to be done because I mean this is a happy celebration. There shouldn't be any issues going on as your team wins the Super Bowl and everybody's happy and celebrating.
And now they're saying that it really had no connection at all, but I don't know if I believe that.
Yeah, and I think it would just happened at the parade. It wasn't necessarily because of I don't think it was a targeted event.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like it from what I saw on the news. There's no question about that. People are getting weirder by the day. I went for my walk this morning, had a really nice walk. And I don't know, this guy looked pretty homeless. Maybe he wasn't homeless, but he looked very homeless. Mm-hmm. He walks up to me and he says, "Hey, is that your wallet in your pocket?" And I said, "No, actually, it's a gun." He said, "Oh," and walked away. And of course, it was my wallet, but it looked like a holster. So it was all right. It all worked. Just leave me alone, for Christ's sake.
Yeah. Anytime somebody comes up and asks me a question and I don't know them, I'm always very defensive. Like, why are you?
Exactly.
What are you trying to do?
I couldn't agree with you more. It's like, I just never thought we'd get to a point where the number one thing, it seems, in the United States right now, and certainly most of the world, is people cannot stop hatred. They just hate other people now. Mm-hmm. And I don't understand why that happened. Bad leadership?
Yeah, bad leadership, mental instability, you name it. It's probably the part of the cause.
I just love the fact that I don't care if you're a Republican or you're a Democrat, your situation, Republican or Democrat, is not perfect for everyone. Get your head out of your ass and let people live their lives, right?
Yeah, and if you disagree with something, doesn't mean you have to scream at everybody from the top of the mountain. You can wait for them to finish talking and then have a counter proposal rather than just an argument.
I know. It's just What did you say, Tevin? You reported on the morning show. 47 people been killed in 45 days or something?
Oh no, there have been 46 or 47 mass shootings in 45 days. So they count
Jeez.
mass shootings as a single gun incident where more than four or more people were shot. And so we kind of used that metric and said, yeah, there have technically been 47 and we're only 46 days now into the year. So
Yeah,
we're
but
off
we
to
don't
a
have a
slow
gang
start.
problem. Gangs
No.
don't exist. The cities are
Unbelievable.
perfectly safe.
It's so amazing that 47 people killed in 46 days. That is unbelievable. I mean, think about that. Does it break it down into how many different incidents it was? Because
No,
were these just
it was
those?
47 incidences. So
Oh
there could have
my
been more.
God!
Yeah. And let me see if I can pull up the stat they had again.
Well, the head count's probably over 100. Then I would guess 47 incidents of gunfire of people
Yeah, well,
opening fire.
yeah. I mean, when you think about yesterday, where there were 22 people shot, and so
Right. Right.
yeah, that's gonna bump your numbers up quite a bit. Let's see here.
I just don't. What would drive you to want to shoot somebody? It's just not in my brain to go. You know what I think I'll do today? I think I'll go shoot somebody.
Yeah,
What?
no, it doesn't make any sense. So yeah, there looks like yesterday was a busy day. You obviously had the Kansas City one. There was a shooting in Atlanta where 4 people were injured at Benjamin Elijah Mays High School. Another one in Georgia where 2 people were killed and 2 others were injured at a motel shooting. It's all over, like Baltimore. Everywhere is just every day, and I think there's a total of 9 days from something I saw that didn't have an incident on it. Total days without mass shootings, 9 so far in 2024.
9 so far, and it's a month and a half, right?
Otherwise, they've got a count of 46 mass shootings,
Jesus.
98 people dead, 121 people wounded, according to this.
98 people dead. Is that what you said?
Yep, and that includes the shooters.
Yeah, right. A lot of times they get killed too.
Yeah.
So did they have an understanding? How many people were involved in the shooting? Where there were like 2 or 3 shooters, something like that?
Yeah, the Kansas City one, there's 3 suspects that they have
3 suspects, yeah.
in custody.
But nobody has any idea why the hell they did it.
No, it just sounds like either 3 guys fighting that somehow related to gunfire, or I don't know what led up to it, but they haven't really announced what happened exactly. But it wasn't anything like a manifesto. They ruled that out.
Was it 2 years ago when that guy opened fire on the country show in Las Vegas?
No, that was years ago,
Was
wasn't
it longer than that? Because I saw that on TV, and you couldn't believe they actually have live footage of the real incident going on.
7 years ago almost.
That was 7 years ago? Jesus, I thought it was a couple of years ago. How time's flying these days. Yeah, so your idea is I'm going to take all the guns that I have. I'm going to go rent a room in Las Vegas. I got to make sure it's on the right side of the hotel so I can shoot as many people as I possibly can. What the hell is that now?
There's no excuse for it. And didn't he like post online? Not that he was going to do that necessarily, but there were, looking back, they go, oh yeah, we missed some of these potential warning signs that he was going to do something.
I guess. But I mean, how many people did he end up shooting? It was a lot. I know that. Because that thing was like
60, killing 60 and wounding 400.
Killed 60 people and wounded 400 people. Mm-hmm. My God. And that was and then did he end up getting killed as well?
Yeah, I think he either killed himself or they shot him.
Once again, they're listening to country music in Vegas, having a good old time. Let's punish them by killing them. Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah, that's like the world we live in now, where anytime you're in a gathering of more than 1,000 people, it feels like, oh, this could potentially be some sort of incident happening. Whether it's a parade, you're just going out to a restaurant, football game.
Where did the idea come from in the world now that the answer to everything is killing other people?
Well, I heard a pretty solid theory, I think. Okay. So for a long time, arguably thousands of years, what psychopaths would do is they would become serial killers. They would go kidnap someone, kill them, then go out, kill another person, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, even as recently as like what, the 80s, serial killers were still a big thing.
Oh yeah, that's true.
But they're not a big thing anymore because it's harder to get away with. So yesterday's serial killers are today's mass shooters.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's easier.
And they had like this is a copycat of, X serial killer. So I could see that where now it's easier to get your notoriety for a mass shooting, unfortunately.
Yeah, we've always had people who want to just kill a whole bunch of people, but basically it's not possible to get away with anymore. I mean, 50 years ago, people could become serial killers and then just drop off the grid and never get caught. There's tons of serial killers out there that we've never caught because back then we didn't have DNA. We barely had good fingerprinting technology. We didn't have surveillance cameras, that sort of thing. But these days, if you're going to do something like that, guaranteed you're either going to get caught or killed. So they're like, if I'm going to get caught or killed, I might as well just do it all at once.
Is it that? Because how many rifles did he have with him in that Vegas hotel? How did he get all that ammunition, all of those weapons? How did he get all that into the room in the first place?
Makes you think, doesn't it?
I don't know, but that was my first thought. Was you don't just lug all that weaponry and stuff in without somebody's got to notice, right?
Okay, now we're going to have to change the
14 AR-15 type rifles, 8 AR-10 type rifles, a bolt-action rifle, and a revolver. I'm assuming the revolver was for him.
So the grand total of the weapons was how many?
22, 28, 24.
24 weapons you snuck into your hotel room in Vegas.
Like, it also doesn't make sense to do that. Because, I mean, like, cycling between 14 rifles, you might as well just reload one at that point. Think. So it's like, I don't know. There's a lot of it that doesn't make any sense.
We better stop talking about this because now Gelfand's here and he'd love to shoot one of us.
Well,
I know that now.
I have something to celebrate now that Gelfand is here.
Oh, you do?
Happy 2500th episode.
2500th episode of
2500, yep.
Is that right?
And that's today. Oh, there you go.
Wish I'd known. I would have brought the champagne.
Champagne.
Instead, you just brought the pain.
Oh, huh?
Oh,
no champ, just pain.
Ouch.
Whatever works.
I like to think I brought the champ.
I like it.
Ah, there you go.
So, Gelfand, what's the latest? What's happening?
I'm just trying to, I think probably like a lot of people, I'm trying to figure out who these shooters were. And because right now you can't even get a description of them, even though obviously there is a description somewhere because they got 3 people in custody, right?
Mm-hmm. They do.
It's the last I heard, but they're not saying anything about, like how old they were, they haven't found. It sounds like they probably won't find the classic manifesto that we usually find with mass shooters.
Sure.
But this is so weird. I mean, if there really are 3 shooters or more, this is very unusual.
I'm calling it gangs. Like 90-something% of mass shootings, gangs.
Really? That's what it is? 97% are gangs?
Yep.
Well, once again, I just don't... Tevin just pointed out before he got here, Gelfand, that so far there have been 47 shootings in 46 days.
Yeah.
In this year.
Yeah, even yesterday, there were we didn't get as much publicity, but there were, there was a drive-by shooter shooting at an Atlanta school. Mm-hmm. I don't know if anyone died yet. The thing about the gang thing is the reason they talk about gangs is because a mass shooting is defined as something that kills, I think, 4 people or more.
Yeah. 4 people have to be shot.
But when you get to something of this scale, no, it's a lone shooter. Sometimes 2, but this would be unusual. Gangs generally don't get together for random shootings, and this is obviously a random shooting, or certainly it seems like it.
You know what's interesting about that? There are many times I'd like to punch somebody right in the face, but I've never wanted to shoot anyone.
Yeah.
How do you...
It's not personal enough.
The first time it gets into your noggin, how do you go, is it okay to be thinking about shooting somebody?
Yeah.
Think about that.
How do people find each other to do something like this?
Right, exactly. But I think Andy's right. It's a gang deal.
Well,
It's
it
got
could
to
be, but
almost
that would be
always.
very unusual in a random shooting, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
But
don't
then
think it
again,
was
these
random.
things are probably evolving too, so maybe this is something we'll have to get used to.
So you're blaming it basically on politicians? Because all they do is piss everybody off. Like, that guy's really been
Oh,
mean to you.
yeah, we don't know yet. I mean, it could be something inspired by politicians, but it's way too early to say.
I suppose. Yeah, I don't know. I've never wanted to shoot anybody.
Yeah,
Maybe in the future I will, but so far not.
just stick around.
Stick around. So what's going on at Gelfand? What's the latest?
Up here in the north, it's almost comforting that it looks like winter again.
Yeah, 7 inches of snow.
Yeah, it's I guess maybe, although I didn't know it, maybe some part of me thought that something was missing. That because I do find some kind of a comfort that there's snow here, even though
I
I hate snow.
understand that.
Well, yeah, it's been there every year for your entire life. It's
Pretty
weird that
much.
it's not.
Yeah.
Well, and the good news is it's going to be sunny and 30 today, so you're going to probably lose a lot of that snow by the end of the day today.
Yeah, Officer Dave said that where he is, they got 3 inches, and it's going to be 40. So it's like that's not going to stick around.
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be 40. I think the high's supposed to be 40 in just a couple days, right?
Yep. Indeed.
So
Yep.
this snow isn't going to last very long.
Doesn't seem like. Is it kind of because it is, toward, well, the final third of winter, something like that? Was it comforting to see snow? It's like, oh, that's a normal thing, so
Yeah,
that's good.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I looked out
Yeah.
the window and I saw the snow, and it just seemed to slow my heartbeat by by 1 or 2 beats a minute.
Yeah, and there wasn't the normal like, "Oh, I hate snow" reaction.
Yeah.
Like I
Right.
say, we were due. We can't make it the whole year without getting.
Yeah, for real. It's like, how much can you complain about not getting snow until mid-February?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Plus, it's we obviously for many reasons we need the moisture.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose. No, Gelfand, I had to ask you this because I saw this story earlier this morning, and you're the sports maven on the show,
Oh yes.
right? There's no question about it. 2 kids just got the first scholarships to play what Division I sport?
Highlight.
Highlights. Guess is Andy. 2 kids just got the first scholarships to play Division I what sport?
Well, given everything, I'm going to say target shooting.
Okay. That's
Actually,
a good guess.
I think because you're making a big deal about it, I'm going to change my answer to like StarCraft 2 or something like that.
Well, close enough. Cornhole.
Cornhole.
Oh, of course, yes.
You can get a scholarship to college by playing cornhole
How
now.
much
Now,
money
which
could that
college is
possibly? Yeah, for real. Is there somewhere on Earth that people like pay money to go see cornhole?
No, I
They
think
want-
it's in Nebraska. I think it's Cornhole State, isn't it?
Yeah, the Cornhusker, cornhole.
Yeah,
state, the whole
CHS.
deal. It's absolutely true. Yeah, I don't know. I've played cornhole before. I'm not very good at it, but I've played it before. It's fun to play, but to get an actual scholarship to college to play cornhole, really?
Yeah, it feels like hey, we have all this money that we're supposed to be giving away. How can we give this away some more to some kids in need? Are they good at cornhole? Perfect. Scholarship.
Well, what comes to my mind? What would Sid Hartman say? And I think what he'd say was, "He got too far this time."
Gone way too far. It's unbelievable.
Gelfand.
God, every time you bring up his name, I remember the last time I ever saw Sydney. I was at Murray's restaurant. I was sitting in his booth. He walked by. He did not recognize me. And I knew Sid for 35 years.
Yeah.
And toward the end of his life, I had known him for 35 years. He used to have lunch every week. It was unbelievable. But he was 100 years old, and he had no idea who I was. He just walked by. He went, "Hey, let me just tell you something. You're sitting in my booth." I went, "Yes, I know, Sid." And then he just kept on walking.
Boy, what it really tells you is that how important DNA is in the in the longevity category. Because this guy
true.
was eating those well marbled steaks all the time,
That's true.
drinking gravy.
But he was not a booze hound. Sid was never a boozer that I knew of.
No, and not a shicker. No,
No shicker. There's no question about
no,
it.
I never saw him take a sip of anything except bile.
Sydney. Now, because his son is involved, well, not involved, he works there. Did you see who just bought part of Odyssey Media? Odyssey Media is deeply, deeply in debt.
And what are their holdings?
WCCO. They got a bunch of. Is that KWB too? Do they own that?
Yeah. Yep.
And
I think.
it's a sort of hedge fund, right?
Yes, it is. So guess who the latest investor? Because they're deeply, deeply in debt. Well, most radio companies are. They're deeply in debt. Our old joint is just a complete disaster.
Yeah.
But you know who invested $400 million in Odyssey to take it over, basically?
Peter Thiel.
George Soros.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was close. Yeah.
You were very,
Peter
very
Thiel has
close.
about 50 times more money, but
Yeah.
well, it wouldn't have been George Soros. It probably would have been his kid, though, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he's got to be like not terribly far away from,
Yeah, I
not
don't-
coming back from the hospital.
No, I don't think he's actively involved these days.
Well,
How old is he?
They said it was George.
But
Said
I'll
in the
tell you
article.
another thing: he doesn't have that kind of money.
He is 93. So
How much money's he got?
6.7 billion apparently net worth.
So he's got enough.
He's
No,
got
no.
enough.
Well, yeah, I guess he does. I think that. I think Buffett's 92, and supposedly he's still making all the calls.
Well,
Yep.
Soros also donated 30 billion to the Open Society Foundations,
Right.
of whom he is the founder.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, how much of that just goes right back to him?
Well,
he
that's the whole thing
avoided
about
taxes.
Soros is that he's said for a long time that he wants to die broke.
Well, so you have
he's
to spend a
giving-
lot more money to do that.
Well, but the point is, as opposed to many of the billionaires who we know and love, his net worth goes down every year.
I just don't understand why a 93-year-old. So you think this is something his son asked him to do? So he
Absolutely.
did it, but his son's the one that wanted to do it.
I think it's more like his son just did it and told his old man what he was going to do.
Right.
Oh, because they gave credit for the purchase to George.
Yeah.
They did.
Well, it's his
Absolutely.
money.
I just don't really understand what you're doing because that medium is coming apart at the seams. We've been talking about that for several years.
Yeah.
That radio's probably not going to last more than a few more years, then it's going to be over.
We do need AM radio.
We don't, that I don't, in my car, I bought a Ford Mustang. It does not have AM radio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is so sad.
Most new cars, I'd say, built really at like 2022 and beyond, probably aren't going to have AM radio.
Well, supposedly the AM frequency is somehow it disturbs the electric vehicles in some way.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
God, I had no idea that was true. That's weird. So yeah, I mean, look, I love radio. I was attracted to radio from the time I was, the little boy. I knew at 15 I wanted to get into radio. Podcasting is the new version of radio. It just is. And everybody's going to have to understand that. What's so interesting about it is everyone can do it from their house now if they want to.
But small towns especially, can really use AM. The
Yeah,
problem is
You're right.
a lot of these, there are small towns in which there might be 4 or 5 radio stations, but they may be all owned by the same hedge fund.
They probably are. You know that in the 54 years that I've been involved in this business, I've only worked at one FM station. All the other ones were AM. Isn't that amazing?
Well, AM ruled the ways for a long
Well, it did
time.
for a long time,
And for a
that's
long time, FM, and even still, FM was almost exclusively music.
Yeah, true.
The AM was talk because speech doesn't need as much bandwidth to be
Right.
intelligible, whereas music, you want the highest bandwidth possible so it sounds good.
Yeah.
But these days, I don't know. The thing about AM is just like, what's the point? You can get an FM. Yeah, but you can get an FM transmitter that covers an area of a town for nothing. You can set it up in your garage these days. I mean, we have this house near us. They have these Christmas lights on their house, and they're synchronized to music tracks.
So it's like year round?
No, they only do it for a couple months.
Oh, they do. Okay.
But so you can drive up to their house and then go to their website and put in a song, and the lights on their house will change depending on what song is playing.
Oh, really?
And it's just like probably a 5-watt antenna. I think that's the maximum you're allowed to use without getting like an FAA certificate or whatever. And you can hear that thing from probably half a mile away.
Really?
Just this little tiny 5-watt transmitter. They probably just have it in their living room. So I mean, you amp it up to 50 watts, you're covering the whole town.
Well, yeah, but the point is, for practical purposes, AM stations are still pretty important because they're local, and there should be just like there should be a newspaper in small towns,
Yeah.
but they're disappearing fast, of course, too. So this is a big problem because people in kind of small town, let's say like Osceola, for example.
Yep. Osceola Sun.
A town like that needs some place where people can get local information. And when they don't, you've not only lost a part of Americana, you've lost a part of democracy.
It's interesting you bring that up because about the last week or so, I've asked myself, I do enjoy whether it's channel 5, channel 4, 11, 9, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I cannot watch the national news anymore. It's just too severe. It's too hate-filled. Watching the local news for me is a lot better route to go. Plus, they give you all the national news anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But do you find, I don't care if it's Fox or if it's CNN or if it's OAN or whatever it is, that stuff is so hate-filled. It's like, my God. I still think there are two guys that get together, one from CNN and one from Fox, and go, okay, here's how we're going to go at it. We're going to attack them from one side, and then you attack it from the other side, and we'll both make a lot of money. Do you think that's how this happened?
Yeah, absolutely. And local news too, Gelfand, how you're saying it's important. Like that has more of effect on your everyday life. Like you can learn about what's going on directly in your community rather than sitting at, watching a national show and now just worrying and getting angry about what you're seeing in the political world. Yeah,
because more and more newspapers, the Star Tribune is a good example. They're not really, what they're featuring, what their real focus is on local, statewide news. They just, they're not covering national, international news very much. If you look on their homepage today, I think almost everything on the homepage was a local story. Even the shooting, I don't believe was on the homepage. You find it somewhere there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's interesting. The New York Times just had some problem. Yesterday there was some problem at the New York Times. You know anything about this? I didn't really look at the story at all, but you guys haven't heard anything about that? Something happened at the New York Times. Is like, well, that's very odd.
I don't know. I read the New York Times yesterday, but I didn't notice anything was different.
I don't know. Somebody told me all about it. I didn't see the story. I saw the story referred to somewhere, but I don't even know what the hell it was about. But newspapers are just hanging on by a thread anyway, correct?
Most of them, yeah. Not the New York Times or the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal. They're doing well, but they are more nationally focused.
Yeah, that's true.
And also, it just helps to be in a big town.
You know what's interesting about that? I have not heard a reference to the LA Times in years.
No, the LA Times just went away. They have maybe 20% of the number of employees that they had, say, 20 years ago.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The hedge fund came in and just let everyone go.
Just fired everybody.
Yeah, because it was a great newspaper, great writing. I wrote for the LA Times once.
I remember that.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name? The biggest writer they had at the the LA Times. What the hell was his name?
Oh, I think I know who you're talking.
Everybody knows him, no question about it. But I kind of like that. And do you get along with that Tom Friedman?
I've never met the guy.
Or you never met him? Okay.
I find some of his columns to be, I don't know what to say, overly simplistic. I don't think he's a deep thinker, but still, he's a reasonable guy. He doesn't come from any. He's certainly not what I would call a far anything.
No, probably not. Is he's from Minneapolis, isn't he, originally?
St. Louis Park, yeah.
Yeah, St. Louis Park. There you go. Mm-hmm. I know he's a good friend of Chad Hartman's. I know he and Chad Hartman get along pretty well.
Mhm.
So, but I don't know. Is he still prominent?
Oh yes, yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he writes a lot of columns about what's going on in the Middle East, but he writes he writes other columns. He writes about the economy and politics, everything. But yeah, he's pretty much a centrist.
So none of it's good news, though. You just told me the things he was writing about. It's like, can you
Oh,
find any good news in
he
any of that?
doesn't. He doesn't. He doesn't really take that if he believes that the whole world is coming to an end, he doesn't express that. No.
No, well, that's good because I know that we invited him on a couple of times, but he wouldn't come on because I was the host.
Oh,
He
really?
didn't care for me apparently.
Huh.
Like I could give a rat's ass. But it's
Exactly.
like, good for you there, Mr. New York Times.
I don't read his columns very often,
I don't either.
but
I don't
because
know.
I kind of know what he's going to say.
What's the big word right now? Is there any big story going on right now? And the reason I ask you that is we finished watching Griselda last night, and I can't get it out of my head, so I'm trying to put other things there just to block what happened on that. I
Well,
love the show, don't get me wrong, but
yeah,
my God.
big story I think today. Aside from, of course, there's still obviously there's the mass shooting in Kansas City,
Yeah,
and Kansas City, by the way, is one of the most dangerous cities in the country.
both Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas.
Well, mostly the focus would be on Missouri, but I
Yeah,
would,
yeah,
but
it's bigger.
because they're pretty much twin cities. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. No, it's a dangerous place. It's not as dangerous maybe as like Memphis or St. Louis, but it's generally listed in the top 10.
What is the problem? Why in the middle of the heart of America, why would there be such problems in Kansas City?
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of things, a lot of components to that. One of them would certainly be the fact that there's you can basically go into a Walgreens and buy an AR-15 in Kansas City.
That's a problem.
Yeah,
Walgreens.
it is a problem.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I don't own any rifles. Should I own a rifle?
No, I would say. I
Probably
mean,
not.
there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, an AR-15, I would say no.
Yeah, I don't really have a use for one. I have a couple of
Yeah, you don't need
handguns.
a semi-automatic.
No, I do not. You're absolutely right. I
But
don't need that.
handguns are, yeah, that's you can protect yourself with those and maybe do some target shooting and have a good time.
Handguns are semi-automatic,
Yeah, that's true.
overwhelmingly, unless there's single action. But then you'd be a cowboy.
Yeah.
I still love the fact on the last episode of Griselda last night, one of the gifts that were given was a gold-plated machine gun.
Where does one go to gold plate their
Well, that's
From
exactly
power,
it.
I think.
Where the hell do you find a gold-plated machine gun? I'd like to know that. Like, good God. But I don't know. We just we slog through. We keep moving forward, and I don't know. Tevin has pointed out, Mike. What was it again? 47 shootings in 46 days.
Yeah.
Yep.
That
Yeah.
is unbelievable. What is driving this, Mr. Gelfand? We tried to figure it out.
It's access.
Access to guns.
Yeah.
So you would just have to, if you got access to a gun, you got to shoot somebody.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but I'd say that the more access there is, the more shootings you're going to have. And that, to me, I mean, you look at any country, and you can get a fair idea in many cases. I mean, the more guns, it's like look at Canada. Canada, in many ways, is very similar to the U.S. They have the same problems we have,
Yep.
but they just don't have this many guns, and they don't have a whole lot of mass shootings.
Australia has banned owning guns, haven't they? I think.
I think they did, yeah.
I believe that's
I don't know
true.
how
that
that's
you can-
working now. The problem now, of course, is you can just print up a gun. The ghost
Yeah.
gun is everywhere.
I remember those first came out. I went, "Oh my God! I would not want to be the guy to pull the trigger for the first time of a gun I just manufactured."
Hell no.
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 Hell no! I'm not.
It'd be like saying, "Hey, there's these new self-driving cars out there. I think
Yeah.
I'll get one, and I'll just lean back. I'll do the crossword puzzle. I'll sip on some coffee, and next thing you know,
Yep.
they're dead."
It feels like tying like a couple strings to a blanket, calling it a parachute, and jumping out. Of it.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, that's what some guy did in, I think, Paris One
Yeah.
of the first ever, a guy who tried to invent the wingsuit, basically.
Oh yeah.
He jumped, I think it was off the Eiffel Tower.
Oh
He
God.
was
Really?
like,
Oh, he was
I'm going to
confident.
demonstrate my wingsuit now. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Did he plummet?
it did not end well for him.
Yeah, there's a Jacques.
But I mean, hey, it's everything has to start with that kind of thing. It's like you think about how do we know what fruit out there is edible and what isn't? Because a bunch of people went out there, ate a bunch of fruit, and some died, and now we know.
I prefer the double-blind study myself.
You like to wait it out, do you?
Yeah, I like to wait and maybe see like a few thousand people try something.
Yeah, and Andy, I believe the guy you're talking about is the guy that jumped off the Eiffel Tower in 1912.
Yep, it was a long time ago.
They have a
There's footage of it, I think.
Yeah, there's video and there's a photo of what he's wearing.
Oh,
No way in hell that was going to work.
It basically looks like when you were a kid, did you ever like go into your parents' bed and just gather up all their sheets and make them into like a big cape?
Yep.
That's what it looks like. He's just like wearing a bunch of sheets tied to him.
So he thought that would hold him up in the air.
And unsurprisingly, it did not.
well, a lot of, there were any number of deaths when people were trying to invent the airplane.
Oh God, yes. There's no question about it. And don't you think it's kind of a coincidence that the ones who got it right were the Wright brothers? Really?
Yeah, there's a conspiracy theory somewhere there.
Yeah, probably true.
There was a study done, by the way, that found that I think it was the study was that there are an enormous number of people who believe right now that the Super Bowl was rigged.
What?
This year's Super Bowl?
Who would believe that?
Yep. Yeah,
That's
because
crazy.
they'll blame it because that was the conspiracy theory that was being propagated and by politicians. Of course, that's not hard to figure.
Mm-hmm.
And so people heard that and they said, "I like that theory." And then the theory, of course, was that it was rigged because there was a psyop operation going on, controlled by the U.S. government,
Oh,
and that the purpose of which was to rig the Super Bowl so that Kansas City would win. And then after the game, Kelsey and Taylor Swift would, after they were done smooching at the 50-yard line, would endorse Joe Biden. But the problem with there is, of course, they'll endorse Joe Biden. Taylor Swift did it 4 years ago. What kind of a conspiracy theory is that?
well, exactly. But she didn't. Then she didn't endorse him.
Well, not yet. Yeah.
Yeah, but they thought she was going to do it after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think she's more focused on voter registration.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we look at how sad it is that people give a rat's ass what Taylor Swift thinks about who should be president?
Yeah, well, it's always been the case, though.
It has.
God, people
You're
just
right.
follow celebrities to the ends of the earth, and they always have.
But I prefer her to maybe 98% of the people who have been running for the office.
Well, that is pretty much
I
true.
mean, everything. We grade everything on a curve, right?
Yes.
So I say, she's better than say Yee.
Maybe.
Well, for now,
Right.
we'll see what the future holds.
Who apparently she got kicked out of the Super Bowl.
Who did?
So Kanye West.
Kanye Yee.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yee.
yeah.
Is it ye or yay? No one can like definitively.
I think it's
Tell
Ye.
me.
I think it technically is Yay.
Well, because he was Yeezy for a while, and Ye would be short for Yeezy, but then Ye is Kanye, so it's like maybe he did it. Maybe it's confusing on purpose.
Probably. But he years ago went on stage and Taylor Swift, I'll let you finish in a minute. Beyonce should have won this award.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So that started this huge.
That's
feud.
right.
And so fast forward to the Super Bowl, she was in her suite. He purposely purchased the suite in front of her to like try and troll her, and then somehow they ran into each other in the hallway, and he ended up getting asked to leave the Super Bowl because there was some sort of
Really?
minor incident.
Well, he
but
should
yeah.
be asked to leave the universe.
Yeah, that too.
Has he just disappeared? No, I haven't seen him in a long time. What happened to him?
Oh, he's still around. I mean,
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's not making music as often as he once did, but he's definitely mentally lost.
yeah. Remember, he had dinner at the White House.
Yeah.
With who?
Oh, Trump.
Oh, yeah.
with Trump? Really?
Him and Trump are best buds.
Yeah,
Oh, they are?
sure. Trump is able to put the anti-Semitism aside for a great artist.
Oh, I wouldn't bring up anti-Semitism in America today. Believe me,
It's,
disgusting pieces of shit.
yeah.
I just love that they're on the other side of the globe, but you're an expert on the Middle East. Yeah, okay, whatever. I mean, seriously, I just the whole thing. I cannot believe the way our college system has turned on Jews in this country. I cannot even
No,
believe it.
but also, there are a lot of politicians who've gone that way too.
Why?
I guess because they get money.
Oh, so it is all about money again.
Well, no, yeah. I mean, for them it is. I think for the college students, it's not. The college students are, I think, in a lot of cases, they're. Some of it is about rebellion.
And it's what's trendy. What's everybody else doing?
Yeah.
I need to be a part of that because I can't get left behind.
But you're risking people's lives by taking such an extreme position.
That's right. You're destroying people's lives. Yes.
How? Why would you want to do? This doesn't make any sense to me. First of all, on this show, what the hell will we do with Thursday and Friday without Mike Gelfand and Josh Arnold? A couple of Jews are gone, and there goes the show.
And then Josh Arlen and I got into a discussion one day, and pretty soon we're at each other's throats.
Oh, you were arguing with each other. Oh yeah, you don't
But that was
mix very
fun.
well politically.
Yeah.
You're both really good guys. Well, not you. You're okay, but
He's probably what I would call a neocon.
a neocon.
Sort of like a neocon, yeah. But I mean, he's old school, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
And I don't disagree with most of what he says about investing.
No, I agree. No, he's very good at investing. I keep telling people all the time, you don't invest with Josh Arnold, you're making a mistake because he does know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah.
You know. And I do love these college parades where they go, we've got to support Gaza. Okay, point out, where's Gaza on the map? You show me where it is. Because you have no idea what the hell you're even talking about.
Yeah.
I just, is it because they're going to meet up with some guy or woman and they're going to get laid? Is that what this is all about?
Yeah, I don't think so. Because if they're college students, they're going to get laid anyway.
Well, I suppose that's probably true. I really just don't understand how you can take, first of all, at this juncture, from this distance, it's in many ways not our business. Yes, we'd like to keep the globe safe, but why is everybody all of a sudden such an expert on the Middle East?
Yeah, well, the thing is, anything that goes on anywhere really is our business because, we saw what happened during World War II when we had dictators who were, basically lapping at our shore.
Yeah.
And what happened was in the run up to World War II, we had a lot of famous entrepreneurs who were on Hitler's side. Obviously
Right.
Ford was a classic example. Lindbergh was a classic example. And so that sort of virus spreads pretty quickly.
So I have to ask you a question. What would attract somebody like those two to Adolf Hitler? What was the point that they
Money.
loved so much?
Money.
It was money. It's always been that way, Mike. It's always about money.
Yeah, I mean, Ford just he didn't want to see any interruptions, to his business.
Yeah.
And so that's appeasement generally is fathered by money. Appeasement,
really
and we
is.
got a lot of appeasement going on now. So, oh well, just let these people go ahead and do what they want to do because if their democracy is shattered, well, it doesn't affect us, right?
Yeah.
But it does.
I suppose that's true. The one thing we talked about this earlier just because they just won the Super Bowl and all the rest of it. But when people talk about this problem and that problem and they're experts, and I've read a lot about this and I know what I'm talking about, I always ask them, do you know which is further west, Kansas City, Missouri or Kansas City, Kansas? And they never do. They have obviously when you picture the map in your head, you can see where it is.
Right.
But most people cannot answer that correctly, by the way. Did you know that?
It doesn't surprise me.
No, it doesn't surprise me.
I mean,
at
I
all.
would think if you talk to, you may see this on one of the late night shows, probably on Jimmy Kimmel's show. But you walk down the streets of Manhattan, pull a person aside, and say, I've got this map of the U.S. Can you point to where Kansas City is, or Minneapolis for that matter?
Minneapolis
No
for
idea.
sure. Yep, for sure. No, they have no idea. You're absolutely right.
You see it all the time where they'll do the man on a street bit, and they'll show a picture of, like the Speaker of the House, and they'll like, hey, who's the Speaker of the House? And people are like, I have no idea. And then you go, well, who lives in a pineapple under the sea? And then everybody goes, SpongeBob SquarePants.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Well, if the Speaker of the House had a catchy theme song, then maybe I'd know more about it.
Well, his name is Johnson. A lot of people are interested in Johnson.
Hmm?
What?
I had a
penis
partner who loved the word Johnson.
You
Used
did?
it all the time.
Talking about the Johnson, no question about it. I don't know. I just the whole situation just amazes me. And it's around the world. It's not just here that everybody's so pissed off at everybody else and everybody hates. And again, Mike, I made the point during the morning show. We live different lives. We have different levels of income. We have different levels of education. We have all these different levels. We cannot all think the same way. It's not possible. So why do they keep pushing that? You have to agree with me or I hate you. What?
Well, I guess people's beliefs tend to be mandated.
Yeah, true. That's very, very true. And like I said, I've tried them both. I've tried them both on. Didn't really care for either one of them all that much. So kind of being a centrist at this point makes me much happier. I will tell you that. Right?
Yeah, more lonely though.
Oh yeah, there's nobody there. I'm kind of standing there by myself. You're absolutely right. Why do you think it is that people like to have such extreme political beliefs? Does it make them feel important?
I just think that they find some comfort in, like the Super Bowl is rigged. People find comfort in that.
That the Super Bowl's rigged?
Oh, yeah, because they're part of a group that believes that.
Well, a lot of people think everything's rigged.
Sure.
They really do.
Well, my buddy Angry Arnold, you've heard me talk about Angry Arnold. Mm-hmm. My buddy Angry Arnold, who was sort of an unusual guy, but the best day of each month was the day when he got together and met with his conspiracy theory group.
Oh, really?
I said, "Well, conspiracy you looking at today?" He said, we're going back to JFK right now."
Oh, going back to JFK. So what was a conspiracy there? I must have missed it.
Which one?
Oh, JFK.
Oh, yeah. Well, that was the mafia, it was the CIA, it was the
that's right.
Party, it was the Democratic Party. It didn't matter. Everybody, people like conspiracy theories because it's more simplistic.
I do like the fact you brought it up because my late teen years, I should say my mid to late teen years, there were so many murders of national figures, you couldn't even keep up with it.
Yeah.
And they tried to kill a few more, ended up, crippling some of them, and some of them died and some of them didn't. And
yeah.
I mean, it just, why do periods, because that same feeling now, as Tevin pointed out, you got 47 people that have been killed or incidents in 46 days. That is not good news. What's beyond, if you're killing people 47 times in 46 days, what is going to happen in the future? Where is this going?
That's the question. And everything is about, when you're projecting, everything is about trends, right? Mm-hmm. And these mass shootings, they're trending in the wrong direction.
Yes.
And nobody wants to try anything different because the politicians, many of them, they're still pledging their obeisance to the NRA, which basically doesn't even exist anymore.
Is there still an NRA? That's what I was going to ask you. I don't know.
There is one, but they're basically bankrupt in many ways, financially and morally. So
the National Rifle Association, did they get involved in, I don't even know, what did they do? I have no idea what the NRA did.
Well, typically after a mass shooting, they would come out and first thing they would do is they would donate more money to people in Congress who, were pledged to obey everything the NRA believed in, which basically was people should be able to buy a gun anywhere at any time. And so that was certainly a part of it. But, after a mass shooting, the NRA they might not say anything, but one of their biggest supporters in Congress would come out and say, this is an NRA thing, you know. The solution to a bad guy with a gun is more good guys with guns. Well, now we got what 1.5 guns per capita in the country or something.
Right.
So I think we have enough guns. It doesn't seem to have solved anything.
No, it does seem that things have gotten worse because people cannot be responsible. I mean, I've been a gun owner now for about 40, 45 years,
Right.
and I've never even shot at anybody, much less shot them.
Right. Obviously, almost all people with guns are responsible, but that doesn't solve the problem.
No, it does not. Seriously, I don't understand what drives you to get out of bed and go, you know what, I'm going to end somebody's life today.
I talked to a guy who was very conservative, very religious. He's one of these more strict Lutherans, right?
Oh yeah, like what are they called? The
There's
Missouri
so many.
Synod.
Yeah,
Synod.
the Missouri Synod is the one we all kind of recognize as being
Right.
very
Right.
stern, dour, you know. But I
Yep.
talked to him, and then I talked to a guy who was a leftist, and it was interesting that both of them were just waiting to find out, you know, what sort of extremists, probably what sort of people influenced by politicians were responsible for the shooting. of Kansas.
Right. No, it's true. I don't know. Well, it's time to wrap it up. What do you think? Take away everyone's gun, because if you do that, we're all going to die.
Yeah, you can't.
Give everybody a gun, we're all going to die then too.
The guns are out there, so anyway, you're not going to confiscate them,
No.
and people should be allowed to own guns. It's just that there may be a place where maybe we should just draw the line somewhere.
Hey, there's a clever idea.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Well, that's
Right.
that's a centrist idea.
Devin, Andy, any closing words?
Yeah, I found the flying suit from 1912.
You found the actual suit?
Oh, right.
Oh my God!
Yeah, see what I tell you? It looks like some guy got into his parents' bed and just wrapped himself up in all the sheets.
I would think that wearing all that stuff would drag you down to the earth quicker.
I believe that's what happened.
Jeez,
Yeah,
look
and
at
if
that.
you landed in a body of water, you'd just drown because you wouldn't be able to get up.
Yeah. for
No,
real.
you would
I mean,
not be able to swim with all that stuff on.
Yeah, he must have weighed 300 pounds with that thing on.
Where'd he get those boots?
Probably made him.
Probably made
It was
him himself.
1912
Yeah,
or
you're
whatever.
probably
It's,
I think it was a Kaplan Brothers on Franklin Avenue, wasn't it?
right. Oh, I love the Kaplan Brothers on Franklin Avenue.
Oh, I still own boots that I bought at Kaplan
See,
Brothers.
there you go.
It was like 68.
Yeah, it's the late 60s.
And
You're
the
absolutely
boots
right.
are still good, by the way.
When Sears was still Sears, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that kind of thing.
That tower. My mother actually worked in that tower, the Sears Tower down on Lake Street. It was
What did she
unbelievable. I don't know. She never told me what she did. All right, that's going to do it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.